I felt a funeral in my brain. Emily Dickinson, 1830 through 1886. Who was Emily Dickinson? The solitary female poet. Emily Elizabeth Dickinson was born on December 10, 1830. She was born in the community of Amherst. Her father was Edward Dickinson, a lawyer and trustee of Amherst College. Her mother was Emily Norcross, a housewife. Emily also had two siblings, William Austin Dickinson, who was her older brother, and Lavinia Dickinson, her younger sister. Emily grew up in a family that was defined by female dominance. It's wise to say that the poet firstly attended Amherst College and later Mount Holyoke Female Seminary. She was merely attending these prestigious institutions to maintain the family reputation. While attending the female seminary, Emily refused to publicly confess faith in Christ. This act of rebellion contradicted her family and social norms, as this was the 1800s. Dickinson found herself disliked and isolated by her peers. However, this act of defiance ultimately presents insight into the poet's approach to her poetry. After leaving the seminary, due to health-related problems, Emily returned to her family home. It was during this period that she penned most of her poems. After living predominantly solitary life, Dickinson ultimately succumbed to Bright's disease, a form of kidney disease, in 1886. As Emily Dickinson neared the end of her life, she instructed her sister Lavinia to attend to all of her matters after her passing. It was at that time that most of Emily's poems were discovered. Despite writing approximately 1,800 poems, it's wise to know that this poet only received the praise that she embodies today after her death. A striking side of Dickinson's poem, I Felt a Funeral in My Brain, is the fact that the poem is lacking a title. Therefore, the first line of the poem is utilized as the title. When initially considering the title of this poem, it's logical to assume that the poem relates to a funeral of some sort. However, this is an additional part to the title that creates a degree of uncertainty. There are 4 words that basically create this doubt, which are felt and in my brain. This anomaly presents a mystery in the initial prediction of the poem. So we are required to dig further into this literal perception. The question that arises as to whether the occurrence is in fact a funeral in the normal sense, or whether it's a fact, a metaphor for the unseen human condition. The tone of the poem is very depressing. Reading and trying to analyze this put me in a dark, sad mood. At the beginning of the poem, the writer describes the different sounds heard, from the drums, then to bells, and then everything goes silent. The writer describes the feeling of being depressed and compares it to death. The chaos in the writer's mind prevents them from thinking clearly due to the instability in their brain.